puppets. And you too, you sci-fi fans. Hi, it's Lee Arenberg. That's right, Pintel from Pirates of the Caribbean. And you're listening to the Sci-Fi Diner Podcast. Rock on, big boy!
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner Classic. This is episode 15. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
And hello, I'm Miles P. McLaughlin.
And we're bringing an interview that, wow, talk about an easy guy to talk to.
Right, and very fan-friendly, very approachable guy at a convention.
Farpoint 2010, We're sitting down with the good old Lee Arenberg.
Right.
How would they know Lee Arenberg?
Well, if they've enjoyed the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, then they'll remember him as Pintel. He was one of the shorter stature pirates, but he was paired up with another guy. They were kind of there for comedy relief, but also they would know him from his work on Star Trek.
I was going to say, he's a Star Trek boy, right?
He's played Ferengi, he's played Tellarites, and he has done lots of other stuff, not just sci-fi, but he's been on Seinfeld, Charmed. His IMDb page is a very impressive list of TV and movie credits.
Yeah, he was in The Cape, the now defunct Cape,
right.
And he's currently on Once Upon a Time.
Oh, very good. I think he'd be a good fit for Once Upon a Time.
He plays Grumpy. Yeah, so
I think he'd do great.
It's great that he has some regular work. Because this is a regular, reoccurring role. It's been 7 episodes.
Good for him.
So that's solid work for him. He typically is a bit actor.
Yeah.
Awesome,
right. I mean, probably Pirates of the Caribbean is probably his biggest work to date. But he's done lots of stuff. And the interview is very enlightening. I mean, we're kind of living in a recession right now, so he kind of gave us some hints about what's going on with...
he was talking about the actors' strike and all sorts of things about that.
Right.
So we just kind of sat down. We said we had a list of questions to go ask him, and we just kind of threw them out.
Exactly. I mean, it was a nice conversation. I think I asked one thing on those. It was the obligatory, about being in makeup and prosthetics,
and are you going to be in Pirates of the Caribbean 4?
Right.
The answer was no.
Right.
So disappointingly, but. But I think that's about it. So enjoy our interview with Mr. Arenberg himself, and if you get a chance, come to Farpoint. It's a good convention to be at.
And if he is at a convention, make it a point to see him. He like I said, very friendly, very approachable. We'll have a good time.
We know you're here, Puppet. Come out. And we promise we won't hurt you. We will find you, Puppet. You've got something of ours, and it calls to us. The gold calls to us. Gold. Hello, Poppy.
Polly!
What?
Polly!
Shouldn't we talk about it?
It's not exactly my favorite topic, but I mean, it is probably the most. After what's Johnny Depp like, I'd say that would be the most.
I won't ask you that question.
Do it, because the guy's a great guy. So honestly, if your fans are interested, I don't think he's a real sci-fi. He hasn't really done a good sci-fi one, has he?
No, not that you consider Alice in Wonderland.
it's kind of whole cloth, I think, because isn't Tim Burton like, in reverence to the Lewis Carroll, I'm kind of creating my own new kind of story, kind of an annotation of an annotation, or...
He redid Willy Wonka, too.
Yeah.
But they're maybe fantasy, more than anything.
There were some parts of Willy Wonka that were great, but... And obviously I love Johnny as a friend, but you don't really mess with an original, like, the Gene Wilder version that, it's so iconic.
Yeah.
Although I thought that, the squirrels and, what's his name? He's my buddy from the gym now. I'm spacing out his name. The little dude.
Oh, yeah.
Who played all the parts.
Yeah, all the
Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
That was a great, Deep Roy.
Yes,
Deep Roy.
Yeah.
So it was like Roy's thing, was so great.
So much comedy in that part.
Yeah, comedy, but also, there's something about the lost childhood of Willy Wonka, and compared to Charlie Bucket's kind of like,
right.
Here he has nothing, but he's still able to make something out of his childhood, and I think that's why he ends up at the chocolate factory.
Right.
It's, obviously Roald Dahl probably came from a tough upbringing, potentially. Right. At least that's what he sort of, makes you think.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't the new movie, I was told, was a little more closer to the book, I think. You mean this one, or you mean the original? I mean his version. Tim Burton's was.
I'm going to say that sounds good. Because the thing is, because I think I must have read the book when I was 12,
right?
And that wasn't something I needed to reread before I saw the movie. Right. So I don't know. You know what I mean?
Neither. You point that. Right?
What's interesting to me is that how the studios are not really going after books as much right now as they are kind of old TV shows or comic books.
I know.
Because I think a book's tougher to adapt, and there's those comic books you can pretty much go whole cloth and create a whole new world, or based on just maybe one image of a character or one concept of a character. So,
probably, they're redoing the A-Team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that'll be cool.
Me too.
Because the original show was kind of like, come on, it was so cheesy.
It was very The best part of that was Mr. T. That's what I thought.
I have some good Mr. T. I did a movie, not really sci-fi, but it was a movie called Freaked.
Okay.
Which was done by Alex Winter from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and his old directing partner, Tom Stern. And in it, basically, Randy Quaid runs this weird freak show, and everyone that kind of comes to check it out gets turned into a freak. Mm-hmm. So Mr. T's the bearded lady. I played this guy called the Eternal Flame. Always had a flame out my butt, like LePen. I know. Yeah. We had sort of a Hollywood Squares bit. I know. All in, like Secret Squares, like totally. So Mr. T would always invite me into his trailer, and he'd be like, "Lee, we walk into my trailer and listen. We'll drink some champagne and some Dom Perignon. We'll listen to Reverend Louis Farrakhan." He's like always trying to get me to come in there and listen to this other dude named Reverend Jasper Williams, fiery preachers. I love it. Mr. T's one of the good guys, because he is larger than life. And if you think about that story, they should do the Mr. T story, because he came from like the toughest parts of Chicago, South Side. Mm-hmm. Now all I can remember is when he was at his height. There's Nancy Reagan. He's dressed as the White House Santa, and Nancy Reagan is sitting on his lap. I know. Can you believe? That's Mr. T.
Yeah.
That's from
that's a Ronald Dahl story all over again.
Well, in a way, it's a bootstraps. You come put yourself up from the bootstraps and end up kind of. At the pinnacle, at least, of if you think about. I don't know the rise for him. He had all that gold,
right?
And he let me try it on. It was like 16 pounds of gold. That chain. And I was like, dude, $1,000. I couldn't even imagine. Back then, I think it was like $750,000 worth of gold. Now, that's when gold went up. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
So anyway, but that's part of it. I think that's the great thing, about being a character actor, though, really, is you kind of bounce in projects. You end up with so many cool life and kind of experiences.
So that's what you consider yourself, a character actor?
I'm an actor that plays characters.
Okay.
Everyone else considers me a character actor because I'm 5'6" or bald, or you know what I mean?
Right.
I always look at somebody that says you're a character actor. I always look at that as a put down. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's like
it pigeonholes you.
Well, no, it's sort of like saying you just play small parts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in Hollywood, it has that connotation.
Right.
So, I proudly wear the label of character actor because I do think I create some fun characters, but it would be an honor to be called an actor that plays characters. I mean, that would kind of be the coolest thing they could ever say about my acting career. You know, as opposed to, like, I never play myself.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I just, in fact, did a movie last summer it's going to be called A Kiss for Jed Wood. It's a little Irish movie about basically an aging, a 40-something, call that aging, geez. But you know, a 40-something Irish camera guy, cinematographer, who basically cannot get he can't get the right gig for himself, and he's kind of on the end of his, not sure what to do, and so he takes a job as a reality show cameraman, and is assigned to follow this wild 20-year-old to New York as she stalks her favorite celebrity. And basically, I play the sound guy that they pick up in New York. You know, Porno Mike from Jersey, you know, ex-porno dude who's like lamenting the loss of porn industry, how it switched over to like now iPhones and flip phones and no great sound quality in porn anymore. He's like a colorful character. Yeah. Interesting character because he's kind of this observer and you kind of go, well, he's like a real, there's not much to the guy. And then as you get to know the guy, his observations are pretty spot on. And also there's a depth and a compassion for the other guys. And he ultimately encourages his buddy, and then at the end of the movie, they kind of go off together to do the Irish Guy's fantasy film, which is a Civil War movie about Irish, what do they call it, the Green Badge of Courage or something.
Okay.
And, but that was probably the closest to me, and I've played in 25 years. Mm. So, you know, that's kind of fun to be able to kind of just make up or wear the makeup and you know, go kind of out there.
If we look at your resume, I mean, people think you as doing comedic roles, but you've done it all. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I would say that it's. I mean, there's probably a little too much of the comedy, but you know that doesn't mean that I couldn't do the other kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think that I think in a lot of ways comedy is harder, you know, than the drama. Just because it takes the timing and it's very rhythmic. It's like being a jazz musician, you know. But I enjoy the spectrum. I don't mind. I love the film. It could be television. I enjoy doing the radio or live, you know, doing theater. I think as an actor, you know, I think part of the fun is if you're going to call yourself an actor, enjoy the journey. You know, find happiness in the process. Results lots of times don't give you the happiness. But where you find your satisfaction is, you know, in the fact that you can call yourself an actor for one more day. You know, especially, you know, these days it seems to be, you know, it gets harder and harder all the time now with all the stuff that goes on in Hollywood, and you know, you're constantly trying to change people's opinions of you. And
has the economy really hit Hollywood really hard?
Flattened, dude.
Yeah.
We started with the writer's strike.
I know.
And when the writer's strike happened, that gave the studios and all the executive producers a chance to jettison a lot of production deals, chance to cut a lot of people loose. Suddenly you have, like now, you know, prior to the strike, you might have had, you know, 60% free agent and 40% had deals at studios, and then, you know, right? Now it's, say, 85% free agent. Then the hedge funds and all the money died. So the independent filmmaking can't get financed, right? So it really took the power out of the hands of the movie star and gave it back to the studios. The other thing that's happening is studios aren't ponying up the huge upfront fees for the big stars. They're saying, I mean, obviously a Johnny or the ones they truly know are megastars, which there aren't many. But I can think of, I mean, I would say, you know, now, because what they'll do is they'll give this kid like Taylor Lautner $15 million or whatever it is. The dude, you know, we don't know. I mean, Twilight, he was good. That movie was going to make a lot of money no matter what. Right. Didn't matter if I was playing that role. They would have gone see it. So, you know, I more power to you, Taylor, and all that. I'm not at all, you know, jealous of that. The only thing I'm jealous of is the fact that suddenly you're getting $15 million and everyone else is going to be doing it for scale, making you look good, dog. You know, and obviously you don't know anybody anything, but, you know, in a way it's like, come on. I've worked 25, 30 years. I don't want to have to take a pay cut to, you know, take a supporting role for you.
Right.
See what I mean? So ultimately, of course, I would have to. Because you got a family to feed, you got insurance. So, yeah, the economy crippled. The other thing then, the other change that's really prevalent is, now suddenly parts that I would win, like my Seinfeld roles or sort of these character roles, the good character roles, fucking Bruce Willis will do it.
That's right. A lot of the big names are doing TV now.
Yeah, man, and they'll do it for they'll obviously get paid more than I would. So when, of course, they do it in a kind of sweepsy kind of way where they're trying to go for ratings.
Sure.
Totally understand it. I mean, the really only way to win is to become more successful. Mm-hmm. Which kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of the game.
It makes it work.
It's tons. It is work, man.
Tell us a little bit about Pirates. We discussed briefly before we started recording here. Tell us, what's been going on with Pirates for you?
Well, I mean, the Pirates 4 is not looking good for me. So, I mean, basically, we are OU Teetle on that.
Okay.
Which, it's been a great ride. I'm completely, totally disappointed, but I mean, what can you do? The honest thing is, hey, they're saying they bought this book, they have all these characters, they don't want to just waste us in the background. And I'm like, dude, waste me. Yeah. But that's what the writer, that's what I heard, and I'm okay with it, I would think, though, that with a new director, maybe he wants his own brand of funny, kind of stuff, or...
Do you think they'll change the tone of the movie? I mean...
you know what? I mean, I think Rob Marshall, Chicago was okay, Nine blew, the Geisha movie was beautiful and boring. So, I mean, I don't know what you're going to get. Maybe they're trying to make a musical out of it. Maybe they're angling for a Broadway show. I don't know. That's what it would seem to me why they would choose him to direct it. Don't know the guy. Wish he would have, I'm not sure it was even his call. I think it was a Disney call that they, don't have us back. But I know I read that my partner Mackenzie said he was ambivalent about it. And I don't think I'm ambivalent. I'm just disappointed in it.
Right.
It's like being on the team and then suddenly realizing that you weren't one of the cool kids after all, or something like that.
It is.
That's what it feels like. It just hurts my feelings.
It's too bad because, I mean, 3 movies, there's such great chemistry between all you guys.
It was such comedy.
And it was fun. Yeah. I mean, and the weird thing is, if they were saying, oh, tonally we want you guys to shift, I'd just go to them, dude, the first movie, the first thing I do is kill someone. Mm-hmm. It was your call, studio's call, to kind of whack us into these comedic kind of commentators on the action,
right.
Kind of a Greek chorus. I mean, in the first movie, we're sort of funny bad guys with a lot of bad in us. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously we could have done that, but it's one of those things. I wish them all the best. Hopefully they can, hopefully I don't find out in the first 4 seconds of the movie, Pintel was killed. And I would get my screen death, or rather have them say I'm like running a pub on some island, so theoretically they could stop by for a rum or whatever, maybe figure a way to get us back in the action.
You think you're going to try and explain it?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know. Maybe probably not.
Yeah, they could just pretend you weren't even there.
Yeah, but it's ironic that like the last thing in the movie of the third one is, okay, we're all chasing with the map and him, and we're going after, although it was convoluted, we're going after that Fountain of Youth concept, and then this book, I think, is sort of based on that. What I read about Stranger Tides is it's kind of like, the lead character is sort of on a quest to find his puppeteer father or some weird stuff. So, I don't know, and searching for the Fountain of Youth. And so I'm sure it'll be like an interesting deal. Anything with Johnny or Jeffrey or Kevin McNally, I'll check it out. Maybe I'll wait. I won't go see it in the theater. I'll penalize them by $5 until they send me a free copy. You know what I mean? Because that's just one of those things where it's like, you think you have something. That just really shows you the not the unfairness, but I don't know. It's the truth, about the town.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you're not the main dude in these franchises. Well, hell, they fired Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you are the main dude.
If you get old, you can't fit the suit, don't want to work out. I mean, that obviously wasn't the case for me. And my thing, I could be fat for anybody, but do you know what I mean? But the unfairness is not. Nobody ever said it was fair.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. My thing is, let me land something else. It's hard to see the other door opening when you're staring at the one that is closing.
Right.
And that's tough. And, I mean, half the time you feel like crying or yelling or smashing something. So it's just passion.
Well, on an emotional level, I mean, all you contributed to the success of the Pirates.
They were big gigs that was a big gig for me. That was definitely, it's definitely why I'm here. It definitely was. Some of the other stuff I'd done was, people saw it, but you're basically kind of guest starring. I felt like I was kind of one of the stars of that one. So it was a pretty neat deal to feel like you were part of it. And obviously, they would hustle me a lot, Disney, to, promoting a lot of their products. And it was good for other, tie-ins, and because they couldn't get the other dudes to come advertise for them.
Right.
So in a way, being one of the LA-based actors, one of the only ones, the only Americans in that movie were Johnny, me, and Martin Kleba. Everyone else was English or Australian or whatever. I mean, it was a huge break for me that Gore Verbinski is such a stickler on his casting, because he couldn't find Short, Bald, and Crazy in London. Then I had a chance to win the part.
Right.
So I'm still at the win the part stage, man. You got to prove it in this town, and I don't mind that. I'd rather have to go in an audition than not get a crack at it at all.
Right.
I'll take my chances.
Now, you've done some Star Trek work as well.
Done a bunch of Star Trek. Done a bunch of Star Trek.
All sorts of series.
Right. First one I did. I did one Deep Space Nine. Then I did a couple of the Next Gens. Then I did a Voyager. And then I did the 2 parts on Enterprise, which was the United and Babel one, where I played the Tellarite Master.
I'm a huge Star Trek fan, so
he is. Cool. Well, let's get into it.
Well, I mean, you've had to put on a lot of makeup and prosthetics.
Sure.
Not only for Pirates, but then the Ferengi part as well.
The Ferengis. I did Dungeons and Dragons, which is a sort of fantasy, and that was just a weird, big ass beard. So yeah, I've been dealing with the makeup a lot.
Now, have you seen, some actors, complain about, the discomfort with the prosthetics. You're okay with it?
Some, there are some things that, will bother you. Spirit gum, the gluiness, the stickiness, the tackiness. It's mostly mental. Mostly wearing the makeup is a mental thing. It's going to be uncomfortable. The key thing is getting respect from the makeup artist. When I did that show, Angel, they didn't give a crap about me. They didn't give a crap. So there was no fitting. So they slapped some basic mask on me. The lenses don't fit right. Basically they burn my face. And so it can go horribly wrong. It can go horribly wrong. But let's say if they think they can break you, then they take care of you. If they think you're indestructible, fortunately for me, that all the makeup artists I work with, from Mike Smithson to Steve Anderson, all the guys on Star Trek, they respected who I was as an actor. They liked me as a person. So Joel Harlow, for sure, it was my guy on Pirates for 3 movies. He took care of me. The key part of it is when you first establish the makeup, it's take it off with the same stuff every time. Use the same keep the pH on your skin even toned. Because on a Pirates, when you're wearing it for hundreds and hundreds of applications, you have to train the skin. Because it takes a real beating rubbing the latex on and off. Whereas in Star Trek, you really may be suiting up only 8 times in the makeup. So, as long as, I think you stay calm, and especially in the taking off. So going into the makeup usually starts at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. It's early, you're tired. It's not going to be hard just to sit there.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's the getting out of it. I don't know if you know who Mark Alimo is.
Yeah.
An actor who did a bunch of Star Treks. He's one of the most famous dudes ever. For every time he would be done, he wouldn't even wait to take the makeup off. He'd just peel it off, man. And I was like, dude, how do you do that? How do you do that with no remover or no nothing all the time? I was so impressed. He'd just be like,
and he had a lot of prosthetics.
He had the whole thing,
the hard acid makeup,
The worst of the makeups ever in Star Trek, the only one that really ever hurt me or kind of injured me was on the Voyager. And then the Voyager was that I played that Pelk, who was a Malon.
Oh, okay.
Right, and we were the space garbage man. We had the most beautiful planet, and we used to so guys would have to take the toxic waste, and it was a dangerous mission because they thought there was some sort of creature from the Black Lagoon about here who was attacking them. It turned out it was just somebody who was mutated by the toxic sludge, so it was like a real dude. So, got dressed to play the Malon for whatever scenes I was shooting in the morning, and then the last scene I should work for the day was a death scene where I get my face scalded off. So the way they do that is they still keep your alien makeup on, and they add and they build on top of that the burn effects. Well, if you sit in the makeup for 8, 12, 14 hours, it comes off pretty easy. Your oils have worked in it. If you're only in it for an hour or two, it ain't coming off with the glue they put on there. So you're essentially glued in, and so they really have to get in there and really scrub it off and pull it off your face to get it out of there.
I don't think people realize, getting into what, like you said, getting it off is the hard part. Getting it off is
the part when you want it off. Mm-hmm. It's the only time you start to get impatient. Because when you're getting into it, your mind is, okay, I got a full day. Right. Like, say, Pirates, the makeup wasn't a bummer for me, but the beard and the mustache were a bummer. Because you can't really eat, you can't, it's always being chased by your makeup artist. That's the thing, they chase you all day. Because, in other words, you and your makeup artist and your hair person, for me, when you're adding the hair too, it's a real kind of like mutual relationship. I don't want to go in front of the camera and have them see the lace in my beard, so I'm going to have to spend that extra time every time before a shot, go get it checked, go have someone look at it, go have them poke it, glue it down, We're working in 90 degrees and 90% humidity. It's like not much is going to stick to that. Especially if you've gone out and had a few beers the night before or had some spicy food or whatever. All that pH stuff will add into the equation. So that's why, these guys that do a 7-year run of Star Trek and, Ethan or some of these characters that wear a lot of the makeups over it, man, they've earned that dough. They've earned that mansion on the hill. Whereas some of the guys, hey, if you're just a Dominic or someone who gets to kind of put a little powder on, I'm like, dude, I don't know if you really earned your mansion.
It's true.
Yeah. But it's interesting how the makeups really, if you look at the original Star Trek, I don't think any of them had makeup. Spock had a little bit, but obviously they've with Mike Westmore and his contribution really to the stories through creating these amazing. Go to the lab at Paramount with all the great stuff they have. It's just like some stuff they only have just to be in the background or kind of in the cantina kind of shots. Those quote cantinas. So. Right.
But they always went all out. With their even with the background characters. So.
Absolutely. Well, the thing about the background is you can do it in, say, a less specific way depending on which part of the background. Because if you're in the closer background, you're going to have to be pretty much fully done up. So the further back, you might be able to get away with the people in the very back just because of the way camera is. It can only focus won't be able to focus on that whole depth of field. So, but for most of it, they go through it and they go through the same thing, Yeah. And then of course they have the great. The girls always look good. The bodysuits.